Marcus Rogers here to talk to you about the Immortal DM. But what is an Immortal DM? Have I learned how to become a lich? No, and if I did, I wouldn't be telling you. An Immortal DM is someone who is only DM'd. Same with an Immortal player. Someone who's only played. You might think, they're not immortal, they're just specialists. They're really good at what they do. That's why they do it. That's why they're playing, and that's why you're DMing. But I can tell you as a DM, I'm not DMing because I necessarily wanted to DM. I was a junior in high school, and we had this new kid come by. He had been homeschooled most of his life, and somehow my best friend and I just got to talking to him. You know, we started making him feel more comfortable, and eventually became friends. Went over his house. He had all these 4th edition D&D books. You're right. I know you probably feel sorry for the guy. So many, like Monster Manual 3 and 4, all the players' handbooks, all these books, but he didn't DM. He didn't even have anybody to play with. He just had all these books. My friend and I, we play football, but we still wanted to play. I said, you know, can I borrow some of these books and I'll run a session. You know, that's kind of always been my personality, just to take the initiative. I'll run the session. Let me borrow the books. I'll run the session. You'll be in my group. My good friend Brandon will be in my group, and let's just try it. You know, let's do it. From that point on, though, I was the DM. I was the DM. Anytime I wanted to play D&D, I had to be the DM. It seems a little unfair, but I still enjoy myself. I have a lot of fun DMing. I still do, and I love DMing. But there are some problems that come when you only DM. Like, you're gonna lack perspective. I find myself planning for games, making encounters, and I'm like, you know, that's good, that's strong, that'll be interesting to fight against, or that, you know, I'll throw in different varieties. And once we get to the fights, okay, it's a good fight, but my players, they didn't buy potions. My players, they didn't scout the area. My players, they didn't talk to any NPCs to get any warnings, or maybe learn some extra information. And I'm just baffled, session after session. Why aren't my players doing these things? You're like, new players, that's why. Right? It's been 6 years? 6 years since I've been playing now. I've been playing for about 6 or 7 years. And my players one of my players just started buying potions. To this day, I don't understand why it took so long. I would love to have him on so we could talk about why, but it just totally baffled me about why what is this mental block for players, why they didn't buy potions. I had to put them in drops, like on bodies, you know, just so that when they fought something, they had that extra little bit of healing that could really make the difference in the fight. I believe that an Immortal DM is subject to this growing, festering resentment against his players. This can happen very easily. All it takes is 2-3 sessions in a row where your players just aren't really feeling it. Maybe regardless if it's you or not, you know, they're not feeling it. They're just not really into it. Maybe they're not role playing that well. Maybe they're just doing things that really take you out of the game as well. And then this resentment comes where you're like, I take so much of my free time to plan for these games. Why aren't they putting in the same amount of effort? These guys don't care. I don't care. And it really starts to come to, why are we sitting here? Like, what are we doing at this table if not just yanking each other's chains? And I feel like that can be because they have only been players. You have only been a DM. You start to lack that appreciation and that perspective from each other. Another product of the Immortal DM, the DMPC. The DM might be, I really want to play. I have this really good idea for this PC. I want to, get into the game. I'm asking my friends, hey, do you mind running a game? And they're just like, DME is too hard. I don't really have the time to plan. So you're like, I'll just make my own character, slip them into the party discreetly, and bam, I got a player. I'm playing now. I'm a player. We're in there. You're a player. I'm a player. I'm also the DM, but I'm a player too, right? Player characters are, DM PCs are just generally a big no-no, especially when you get to that point where the only reason you're putting this DM PC in is because you just really, really want to play, which can lead to this shift because you're the DM. What does this player come in with? How strong are they compared to your PCs? What do they know compared to your PCs? And then you can easily overshadow your PCs now. When you get into fights, does your player now know the weaknesses of the monsters? What is it? And if they don't know the weaknesses of the monsters, then what do they know? They go into a dungeon. You know where all the traps are. Do they know where the traps are? Do you just have them haphazardly walk through your dungeon, setting off traps because he doesn't know where the traps are? It's this weird balance and this weird, almost impossible separation that a normal person can't do. So you just don't advise doing it. Now, I think there is a reasonable way to possibly introduce a weaker follower of the characters that maybe you care about. Maybe you just kind of like maybe you did come up with his backstory and you like his backstory, but there really needs to be that boundary and that line set. And Immortal DMs, they just think this is it. I'm always going to DM. So I might as well just put a character in there. That's the problem. They think they're always going to DM. They think it's always going to be like this, and they might be right. So, can you really blame them? Even worse than the DM PC or the lack of perspective, your DM starts to build up this resentment. He starts to see them. He starts thinking about, I put all this time in as well. I put all this time, and these guys don't even think about the game between the game like I have to do. Who cares? So what can happen is your DM is now less lenient. Your encounters become mild to extra deadly because I don't care about you guys. What if your characters die? Lack of perspective again. Your DM won't know what it's like to lose a character, someone you build a background up for like that you only can control. A DM loses a monster that they really like, might be upset. Maybe you one-shot his big bad. There's always another big bad. You lose that character, there's only one of that guy. You made that character. He's unique. He's not from the monster manual. He's not in there. Your character is forged out of the player's handbook. He's special. You put your heart into that character, just like your DM puts his heart into the game. Just like your DM should put his heart into the game. But hearts can become corrupted. The Immortal DM starts to care not for your backstory, care not for your future, and only plan for your demise. He's resentful. He wants to see you dead. He wants you to feel the way he feels. And he'll keep doing it. He'll kill it until your campaign is just a total meat grinder, to where no one's happy. Everyone's resentful. But I'm going to tell you how to stop it. If you're a player watching this, I'm going to tell you how to help your DM. And if you're a DM watching this, you've already taken the first step to getting better. Players, your DM has a few needs you need to satisfy. Challenge me. Please, please challenge me. When you come to that table, I want to see something I haven't seen before. I want to hear. You look at your other players and you go, execute protocol 62. As a DM, Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat now. Put me on the edge of my seat. What's Protocol 62? Protocol 62 is a strategy that you guys came up with outside of the game, and that now during combat, during even a social encounter, Protocol 62 could just be, okay, while you're talking to him, I'm gonna go behind him, and while you're distracting him, I'm gonna just take a little sleight of hand, maybe get in there. That's fine. My players don't even, if someone's trying to rob someone, my player does it all by himself. Work together. Challenge me. That's challenging. When my players start playing like a team, you're challenging me. When you guys start synergizing off of each other, I'm amazed. I'm blown away. It's a whole different game at that point. And I like playing it like that. That goes along with being creative. Different ideas, different solutions. As a DM, I come up with a problem. Sometimes I don't even come up with a solution. Sometimes I just put it in front of my players and just, there you go. And I sit back. And I want to hear something nice. I want to hear something creative. I want to hear them bounce ideas. I don't care if they argue. I think it's great. That means they're playing the game. That's when they're playing the game. When they're thinking about what to do next. When they're planning their next move. That's what I like. That's what I want to see. It really takes me out. It makes DMing rewarding. Be ambitious. Your character just wants to raid tombs and pillage old ruined cities. That's fine. Before you're DM, be ambitious. You're a rogue. You just want to pillage tombs and raid ruined cities. You start a network of spies who go around the countryside and around the world, looking for these things, scouring books for this information. They check in with you. They go back. They say, yes, there's a place here to the north. There's a place here to the southeast, and there's the ruined castle of Mehum, the great lich, and he hasn't been seen in tens of thousands of years. Now we're talking. Now you're starting a network of spies. Now you start this thieves guild. Now you're getting bigger than yourself. And you're actually more efficient this way. Now you get to pick and choose which tomb you go into, and tell me just be like, okay, they want to go into a tomb. Yeah, set up this one right here. Go inside, guys. You guys are gonna go through, kill everything, get the loot, come out. I mean, if the tomb, you guys go in the tomb, it's fine. It's all good. Be ambitious. Think bigger. You want to loot this tomb too? You want to go inside? You know what? Those farmers seem pretty poor. What if I hire some of them? Some of them know how to use bows. Maybe they don't know how to use bows that well, but if there's enough of them, I arm them, give them bows, and then we go into the tomb with them. That's great. That's fun. That's creative. Now you're changing the game. Now you're doing something different. Now you're doing something a lot bigger, because now there's other lives at stake. Now you're responsible for these people in a way, and now the game's getting more complex with just you being a little bit more ambitious. As a DM, I would love if my characters cared about something not at the table, that wasn't each other. If they cared about something outside of their party that you can really pull on, that really tethers them to the world, I love it. I love it. Oh, your mom is back home. She's sick and elderly, and actually, when you actually take a tenth of whatever you get from the adventure and you send it back to her. Tether yourself to the world. Maybe there's just a monastery that every time you are in the area, you want to go visit. While you're there, you clean up. You help clean up. You talk to the masters. You talk to some of the new monks there. That's great. Now you're tethering. You care about this monster. Every time you play, every time you go to that area, you're like, oh, I gotta go somewhere to go talk to these people who know me. And when they see you, they're gonna care about you. They're gonna want to hear about your adventures. I'm not necessarily saying you get a family, but get more than the people, the players. Get the NPCs to care about you, because it's easy for me to make an NPC hate you. You killed his father instantly. You can kill somebody, kill a bandit. He's just a bandit. He was robbing you, but he has kids. Now they hate you. That's easy. That's easy. You're gonna have bandits coming at you for days because you keep killing their family. But it's hard for me to get an NPC to like you, and it's almost impossible for me to get an NPC to love you. That's something the player has to do. And when the player shows that it's a bond that they want to build with an NPC, it just makes all the difference for me. I just find that they're wanting for new experiences within the game. And as someone who's only DM'd, you get bored of the same old, same old. The Immortal DM needs to be challenged. He needs to have creative players. He needs to have ambitious players. He needs players that are tethered to player characters that are tethered to the world, or else the world is just mundane to him. And so are these characters. They're boring. They're hardly relatable. They're just like killing things, or maybe they are actually more sociable characters. They just like talking to people. As a mortal DM, you get tired of that. You get tired of your players getting into fights and not having potions, and then complaining about how hard it was. It's simply tiring. So as a DM, you should ask your players, can you guys run a one shot, or can somebody run a one shot? I just need something different, because if not, then maybe we should just play something else. You still want to DM because it has its moments, even when your players are mundane. It still has its exciting moments, but you need a break. Everyone needs a break eventually, and the Immortal DM is no exception, and the Immortal player is no exception. I'm Marcus Rogers. Thank you for watching.